I genuinely hope within my lifetime I witness the collapse of capitalism. Collapse of America. I don't really care at this point. I'm over it. I'm done. I'm angry past anger. I'm tired past exhaustion. I am frustrated beyond words. My heart is kind of broken. I feel lied to, manipulated, tricked in all kinds of forms. Like, this has to stop soon, right? Like, this can't just keep going. There's so many people who are miserable.
I wish people would stop allowing socialists to get away with this talking point in conversations. America is not a capitalist nation. The United States government considers itself to be a mixed economy. That's why you're paying so much taxes. America has welfare. So therefore, it's not a capitalist nation, but it's not a socialist one, because you still have private property. So it's a mixed system. The second thing that I notice is that a lot of individuals, they say things that are edgy and don't really mean it. George Orwell also noticed this in the UK with the socialists of his time. They didn't really want Britain to fall. They wanted to humiliate Britain. So they would go up and make all of these speeches that were anti-British, but if push comes to shove, they didn't really want to experience hardship, because that's what happens when a nation falls. I also noticed this during the pandemic. There were a lot of people before that, mostly left-wing, who were praying that something bad happens to the human race because the human race is polluting and is destroying the planet. And when you finally get the pandemic, which should have made them happy, they were like, oh my god, stay safe, stay away from me, you're killing grandma, etc., etc. So these people are saying these things because it sounds edgy, because the people around them enjoy hearing them. But I also think it's due to a huge degree of ignorance. They only know the American way of life. And because of that, they compare the American way of life with the utopia. Instead of learning how things are done in other countries, and then comparing the United States to other places in the world, they notice that, okay, well, some people are suffering, and therefore America isn't perfect, and if America isn't perfect, it needs to collapse. That is their mindset. The reality is that regardless of the system of governance that you're in, whether it's socialist, whether it's capitalist, whether it's a monarchy, this has been true throughout human existence. If you want to eat, you either sell your body or you sell your mind. This is true in America as well, except that the option to sell your mind, which is what most people prefer to do, is a lot more available than in other places. In other places, you have to sell your body. And I don't mean here prostitution, although that is a way for some people to make ends meet. OnlyFans exist, right? Twitch streamers exist. But I'm talking about a person who's a builder, a person who's a truck driver. They are technically selling their bodies in order to do work. Look at what happens with a person who's a delivery driver. They're going to get heart complications because of the stress that they're exposed to. They can get spinal injuries because they sit in bizarre positions the whole day that the human body isn't meant to stand. But you have to do these things if you want to eat. Now, I know that some people will say, well, it's unfair. But what unfair is if you get to eat while other people prepare your food, right? Because other people have to sell their bodies in order for your food to exist. So I made this comment in a previous video where another leftist lady, she liked to travel. So she didn't want to have to work. And my point is, okay, so you want a pilot who is selling his body and his mind, because flying can require both of them. So you want the pilot to fly you over to where you want. You want the taxi driver to carry you to the hotel. And then you want the hotel staff to take care of you. Meanwhile, you don't want to do anything for your fellow man. So you want slavery. That's what you want. Like, a perfect society for you would be a society where other people are slaving so that you're feeling comfortable. There is something interesting that Milton Friedman said, explaining the value of money. And I think I said this in a previous video, but it's very important as an argument, so I'll mention it again. When you're a young person and you go to help your neighbor, and your neighbor says, like, can you mow the lawn for me? So you do that. You get there, you mow his lawn, and in exchange for that, he gives you $20. Now, when you go to the store to buy something, the store owner is going to ask you, have you helped your fellow man? And you're going to say yes. And the store owner goes like, prove it. And you pull out the $20 bill. That is evidence that you did something for society. Now, of course, in every system of governance, there are exceptions. In every system of governance, there are loopholes and there's corruption. And in some systems, the corruption can be absolute. So you can have people that have a lot of money that do not contribute to society or contribute in a detrimental way. So for example, criminals. Like criminals, they can steal money from people. So they haven't contributed to society. But just because the outliers exist, that doesn't mean that the society as a whole is necessarily evil, or that the system needs to be revamped completely, or that even revamping the system completely is going to have a better outcome than it already has. There is also something interesting that we have in Romania as a saying. A little bit of dirt is acceptable. So in other words, every system